Six Nations round 2, Wales hosting Scotland. How is this one going to go? I don't know. The Scots are a tough team to predict. They've just had a massive win over England, which tends to mean they're about to fall off a cliff. Are they going to fall so far that Wales has a chance to nab a Six Nations victory for the first time in a long time? Well, the predictions would say no, but we'll get to those shortly. But I feel like this could be maybe a tastier one than what the on-paper numbers say. We'll go through some of the squads which have been named, the stats, the predictions, the recent history, all that jazz. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. Wales, obviously, they are sitting last in the Six Nations, none from 2. Only team not to get a win yet. They've had 2 pretty big results against them, but I felt like last week against the French looked better than against England the week before. It just felt like the game, even though they got beaten by a similar margin, had taken a step forward. Is that enough? I'm not convinced yet, but I still feel like there might be some light at the end of the Welsh tunnel. Call me an eternal optimist, but yeah, we'll see how they go. If there's a time to get the Scots, it's after they've played England and gotten a win. Rhys Carey, Dewi Lake, Thomas Francis. Front row is looking pretty steady as she goes. Stafford Jenkins and Ben Carter. Does see a change in the second row with Adam Baird dropping out. That air hack with his foot as he tried to put a kick through last week. Not his finest moment in a Welsh jersey. A long-time servant of Welsh rugby. It'll be interesting to see how their line-out operates. Tame Plumtree, high work rate. Physical. Please don't give away any dumb penalties, Tame. He's up from the bench in at 6. Alex Mann has been an absolute tackling machine. Even though he's not the biggest dude, he can still put in some big hits. Had a couple of dominant tackles against the French last week. He's at 7. And then Aaron Wainwright has maybe been the star of the Welsh forward pack, if you can call it that, because as I said, 2 pretty big defeats. But he had like 48 metres and beat 3 defenders last week against France, which a lot of players can't do. And certainly he was the best of the Welsh ball carriers from the forwards. Thomas Williams and Sam Costello at 9-10. I didn't see Sam Costello getting called back. Like, among the Six Nations teams, there are a couple of 10s who get a heap of criticism and spotlight put on them. One's Ireland with Sam Prendergast. They dropped him for a week just for Wales to recall Sam Costello. So, yeah, that's a big call because he wasn't even in the squad for the last 2 games. I would have thought give Jared Evans a crack and maybe put Sam on the bench if you want him going, but here he is. So no Dan Edwards for this one. Sam Costello. He's going to have to kick well because I feel like a lot of the problems for Wales, but although it was more Thomas Williams doing the kicking, a lot of the problems came from their kicking game against the pretty deadly French backfield. I think contestable balls, if you're going to kick, is the order of the day. I mean, Rhys Dammett's a pretty big dude. So get him to chase kicks and compete in the air. I don't know. But certainly you can't give guys time to catch, run back at you and offload like the French did. But the French are a pretty exceptional team. Joe Hawkins, Eddie James, the midfield is steady. Josh Adams is still there on the left wing. And then Gabriel Hammer-Webb's going to get his debut on the right wing. Former Cardiff man, now with the Premiership, in the Premiership. So, yeah, congratulations to him. Hopefully he has a good game. And Rhys Sammett's still there at fullback. Rhys Sammett loves a carry from fullback. Doesn't kick much. Like a lot of international fullbacks these days put a lot of boot to ball. Rhys Sammett just wants to carry. So he's chalking through run meters and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think we've seen the best of him in this Six Nations just yet either. For the bench, they have gone with Nicky Smith, Ryan Elias, Archie Griffin. Same from last week. Freddie Thomas comes in. Likewise, James Botham. So yeah, there's changes in the forward pack. I do like Botham's work rate as well. If they're going to bring off a guy from the bench who's just going to make a million tackles, I think he's good for that. Kieran Hardy, Jared Evans, and Blair Murray, the 3 back replacements. So we've got the 2 teams up against each other who like going with 3 backs on the bench. Blair Murray being in is an interesting one. Where does he slot in? Does he come in at fullback and then Rhys Sammet goes to the wing? Maybe. He's not the biggest guy, Blair Murray, but he's certainly an elusive ball carrier. For the Scots, they've got a few injuries like Dempsey and Dobby and whatnot. But geez, they looked good last week. It's just the consistency with the Scots that is troubling. Honestly. Getting 2 big results in a row. I can still see Scotland winning this one. They're certainly big-time favourites, but I can't see them putting Wales to the sword and really taking a step forward and putting themselves back in the hunt for the Six Nations. I know there's a lot of people, there's murmurs of Triple Crown going around, some Scottish rugby fans. It'd be a nice one for sure to get some silverware. But yeah, they need a good performance here. It can't be stutter. It can't be go out to a big lead and let the Welsh back into it and that kind of thing again. It needs to be a confident Scottish performance. Consistency is key. Macbeth, Cherry and Fagerson. So Cherry's up from the bench. Yeah, I think he had a good game for the bench last week, so he's earned himself a start. Max Williamson likewise up from the bench alongside Scott Cummings. And then Gregor Brown switches to 6. He switched to 6 partway through the game last week. I like Gregor Brown. He's a real mongrel player. I think he adds a bit of grunt to the Scottish forward pack. Rory Darge was cracking on the tackle count, cracking on the turnovers last week. Defensively, a big player. And then Matt Fagerson takes Dempsey's place. He's maybe not as adept at busting tackles. I would imagine if I ran the numbers on the 2 players, Dempsey would have better defenders beaten, post-contact meters and all that kind of stuff. But Fagerson's a good player. Made that charge down last week. He's really versatile. He's a real jack of all trades. He's probably got other aspects of his game that are better than Dempsey's. He's probably going to make more tackles per game on average. So, still a really good guy to have at number 8, real veteran player. Ben White and Finn Russell, 9-10. Finn was mercurial last week at his best. So much time on the ball. Obviously, England had a man off the field for 30-odd minutes, so he was given that bit of space. But if the Welsh kick poorly to a guy like Finn, he's going to give it to the back line, which is around him, and cause havoc. Duhan's back. Duhan saves his best for England, but you don't want that guy in any kind of space. Kyle Steyn was man of the match last week, and Kinghorn's back. So you got a bloody deadly Scottish back 3 there, plus Tuipulotu and Jones in the midfield. The Scottish backline is deadly. Yeah, if these guys can get themselves into space, they could have a good time. I mean, last week, the backs were in action. Steyn had 6 defenders beaten. Russell had 5. Jones had 4. Tuipulotu had 3. These guys were all very, very dangerous. You can't give them anything. Turner, Schoolman, and Miller Mills. It was against Italy that they couldn't get going, right, in the rain. The front row replacements is just Turner dropping to the bench. That's the only change from last week. Gilchrist is still there. Obviously, Richie's injured, so Josh Bayless comes in. George Horn, Tom Jordan, and Darcy Graham, the 3 back replacements. So Jordan drops to the bench for this one. Some stats for you. Wales, their discipline was better in game 2 than game 1. Like 16 penalties conceded down to 9. 4 yellow cards down to 0. This is an improvement. Wales' discipline at times had been very frustrating to watch, not just in that first game, but in recent times. But jeepers, they missed a heap of tackles against France, 33. Tackled at 81%, which is not great. You're going to concede a lot of points if you miss that many tackles, and they are starting so badly. It's not... I think they conceded 15 points in the first quarter in the opener and then 19 points in the second game. So, multiple tries being scored against them in the opening parts of the game has not been a good start. They could use a nice, ugly, quiet start. If it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, happy days for Wales. They need a good start. Scotland started very quickly last week against England. Scotland... From 0 line breaks in the rain against the Italians to 10 against England was a massive turnaround. How is that pattern going to go in Game 3? Dysfunctional line out in Game 1, 92% in Game 2. This is what I'm talking about. The Scots are a bit up and down. The scrum remains a bit of a concern, but I feel like it's going to be less pressure on them against the Welsh pack, but their props have conceded 10 penalties in 2 games. The team has only conceded 22. So about half the penalties have come through your props. They were under the pump a wee bit. Recent history between the sides is 3-2, with Wales having 2 wins. But the 3 are the most recent 3. So 2023, 24, and 25 are all Scottish wins. You've got to go back to the 2022 Six Nations to see a Welsh win which was in Cardiff, 20 points to 17. So there's a lot of close games here. Like 27-26 the last time they played in Cardiff. A Scottish narrow win, 35-29 last year in Murrayfield. So it wasn't like Scotland blowing Wales away. Average score is 28-21. That being said, everything on paper says Scotland are going to blow Wales away. The algo says 19 points, the bookies say 18. So Scotland have expectation. They're the favourites. They have the pressure. Wales are just looking for an improved performance. There's nobody here that's saying Wales are going to win this one. It just seems like banana skin. I'll still be picking Scotland, but yeah, this will be a good test of the Scots' mentality to go in as favourites and play like favourites and get a result as favourites. Also for Wales, I would love to see Wales play really well. So we will see. It is on at Cardiff. Matt Carley from England is the ref. We will see how he goes. It is on at 4:10 local time, which is 5:40 in the morning for me, which is not the greatest time, but it's the second game of 2, so I'll have already been up to watch the previous one anyway. I did go into a proper recording studio yesterday to have a chat with one of New Zealand's, he used to be a sports broadcaster on the radio, now runs a sports podcast in a proper studio, not in the bedroom of his house in front of a whiteboard. So if you want to check out me on the old DSPN, I'll put a link down in the description or a card somewhere. And you can check that chat out. We talked some Super Rugby and we also talked some Six Nations and did some predictions. Me and Tony from Distracted Sports went in and had a pretty good chat. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. Scotland to fulfill their expectations as favourites or a sneaky banana skin. You guys take care and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.